Hey, it's Kyle Reed, co-host of the Why That Worked podcast presented by StoryBrand.ai. I'm jumping in before today's episode with a big thank you. Thank you for spending your time with us each week, tuning in and sharing your feedback on how the show is resonating. In fact, I'd love to share some of your comments. Here's what you've been saying on Apple Podcast. Episode 1 is mind-opening. Love the simplicity shared of how to create a framework. Such a great episode. Fantastic. Really interesting and useful for my work. Thank you. Love the new format. The last 2 episodes have been life-changing. Keep up the great work. Here's some comments we read on YouTube. Awesome show, you all. Love it. Love the new series. Great episode. It's both interesting and applicable. Can't wait for next week's episode. This is why we do what we do here at StoryBrand, empowering you to clarify your message, connect with your audience, and grow your business. And your feedback and comments help us make the show even better so we can keep bringing you episodes that deliver more insights you can use in your business and your life. So keep them coming. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share your thoughts in the comments on YouTube. Your feedback helps us know what's exactly resonating with you so that we can select topics and deliver new, fun, value-packed episodes. And if you don't ever want to miss a new episode of the show, follow Why That Worked wherever you listen to podcasts and like and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. We can't wait to hear what you have to say.
You're listening to the Why That Work podcast presented by StoryBrand.ai. If you've ever wondered why certain brands, trends, or cultural phenomena find success while others don't, you're in the right place. Every week we unpack why something worked, then give you actionable insights that you can use in your own life. Now let's dive in with your hosts, Donald Miller and Kyle Reed.
Kyle, brutal honesty, how many orders do you think you make on Amazon a year?
I mean, 500.
Really?
It's absurd.
I wasn't
don't know.
expecting that.
Maybe that's too many.
500?
It's bad.
I bet you now. I laugh at that. I bet you I do 500.
Here's the
without
biggest.
even knowing it.
Here's the other thing that's like just annoying is it drives me crazy. I start to get frustrated of like how many boxes I have to break down.
I bought and probably have let go of the domain name Boxboy.
Yeah.
Boxboi, because I had a business idea of going around and picking up people's Amazon boxes and recycling. I would pay $50 a month
100%.
for somebody to pick up our boxes.
Yeah, I honestly, we
And
probably
recycle
should
them.
just stop recording now and go make that business because that would work. Because
It
that
would absolutely work. In fact, I'm an investor in my brother-in-law's glass recycling business here in Nashville. He'll bring you a bin, by the way, and for $20 or $30 a month, I can't even remember. I think it's like $15 a month. He'll come and pick up your glass once a month, and he gives you the bin. And I can't remember the website. Otherwise, I would promote him right now. I'm a terrible investor. But I told him, if you get one of those trucks with a trailer where that you chop, you shred trees.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
In your neighborhood?
Yeah.
I said, just buy one of those and then shred boxes.
100%.
Shred boxes. You wouldn't even have to take it to the recycling center except like every 5th run because the thing would hold so many boxes. If that's a possibility, I mean, and I would pay you $50 a month to get the boxes out of our mudroom.
Yes.
Because they pile up. We throw them down the stairs, and then the next person who goes upstairs has to pick them up and take them around the corner.
So I'm an investor in a company too.
Are you really?
It's a 12-year-old boy in our neighborhood who shows up and he takes my trash cans from the top of the hill down my driveway.
How much do you pay him?
$2 a trip.
That's
so
a good deal.
Oh, it's great.
It's a
I love
great
it.
deal. We got a snowstorm coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
$4.
Yeah, exactly.
Double your money.
So, if someone could come pick up my boxes, I am all in. So yeah, I say 500 because it feels like I've broken down 500 boxes this year.
Oh gosh. Well, why? That's the question, right? Because why did that work? Amazon.com. First of all, let's be honest. There are 1,000 reasons. And this is arguably top 5 most successful companies in the history of the world, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They've changed everything. They shut down brick and mortar bookstores.
That's how they started.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and just I don't think Bezos was this like, I'm going to take over the book publishing industry.
I think he was.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I do.
See, I always perceived it as he was just looking as an entry into this warehouse kind of like, I can hold more than you can.
Well,
I'm going to use the internet.
A buddy of mine was in a hotel and went to work out in the hotel gym, like Holiday Inn Express kind of a thing. And Doug Kahn Did you meet Doug?
Yeah.
Doug used to be with us. And Doug is running on a treadmill, and there's this guy, nerdy guy, running on the treadmill next to him, and they struck up a conversation. What do you do? And he said, I have a company called Amazon.com. He goes, oh, you're kidding me. I actually bought a book from you guys, and sorry I didn't, congrats on all your success. And Jeff said, well, you bought a book from us, but soon you're going to buy everything from us. And Doug, and he went on, I'm like, you're going to buy everything. You're going to buy your dish soap. You're going to buy your car. You're going to buy a rug. You're going to buy everything from Amazon.com. And Doug was like, that dude is crazy. He walked out of the gym and went, he is nuts. He's delusional and he's nuts, because that's not how it works. You go to different stores to buy different things, and he did it. He pulled it off. I think Jeff Bezos is, first of all, I like him.
You do?
Yeah, I do. I like him. I like him because he's such an incredibly strategic thinker. I think he's somebody who could be evil, but he's not. He's just ridiculously ambitious, and there's no question he's, disrupted a lot of businesses. There are a lot of people, a lot of small businesses have been really disrupted by Amazon.com, and a lot of other small businesses have been created because of the existence of Amazon.com. In the book market, here's some interesting stuff about the book market. I think it's 5% of their sales are books now.
Really?
So 95% are non-books.
That's more than I would actually have thought.
But it's more than 80% of the market of books. So 5% of Amazon is 80% of all books being sold. And the problem is, at some point, as an author, they can actually box me out, just like Napster and, Spotify. Napster is obviously antiquated, but Spotify has done the music, that they actually won't have to pay us anymore. They're already doing it in the sense that if you download an ebook but don't read the whole thing, they don't pay you the whole commission. They don't pay you the whole royalty, and they're going to be able to do that with Audible too. Where normally I would get a commission, and they're not going to actually pay you for. And there's nobody can do anything about that, because that's the only way we can actually distribute our books. So I personally am under threat of Jeff Bezos, and you don't get to be the richest person in the world, or vying for the richest person, depending on what week it is, he and Elon Musk, without being cutthroat. And I think he's actually, so when you say, no, I don't think he ever intended, I think it's actually exactly what he intended to do.
Yeah, it's great. I'm going back to your, just that conversation about you're going to buy everything from Amazon.com. And
the people who have the biggest problems with it are buying things on Amazon every day.
Yeah, well, of course.
And that's when you've created some sort of business that you have such an advantage, and you've made it so easy, and the prices are so great that people who hate you are buying from you.
Yeah, it reminds me of the people who will, protest Chick-fil-A and then go get lunch there the next day. It's like, I caught on to that too, because it back to your original question, how many boxes, or how many purchases have I made? That's primarily where I shop. The idea of going to pick up, shampoo at Walmart or Target, is so foreign to me today. And 6 years ago, 5 years ago, that would be, if I told the opposite of you're going to order everything online and it's just going to come to your house the next day. There's no,
And it's working.
In
2003, $5.26 billion company. Now that would be one of the largest companies in America, I would think, today.
Yeah.
$5.26 billion. I have a friend who sold his company for $6 billion. And I think of that as massive. Guess what 2022? I'm not going to let you see this number. Guess what 2022?
In yearly revenue?
Top line revenue. Amazon.com.
I'm going to embarrass $14 million or billion? 14 billion?
Close.
Okay.
514 billion. There was a 14 in there somewhere.
By 500. Cool. Yeah.
514 billion. Now to put that in perspective, gosh, I don't even know how to put it in perspective.
No, that's more. I mean, GDP of every country. I mean, that's outrageous.
I think Amazon is not Amazon. Apple, I think, is $1 trillion. But I don't know if that's their valuation or their annual revenue. I don't know. Not as profitable, by the way. $514 billion. They're not making anything like that in terms of profit, because the margins are so paper thin. But let's actually talk about why. We're talking about why.
Yes.
I think the number one reason, and today I don't have a list, but I would say the number one reason is actually they've made buying easy. Now there had to be an experiential learning curve from the end user. And the big knock on Amazon, for me personally, early on, I lived in Portland, Oregon, and Amazon was up the road in Seattle. And when they were just a bookstore, the big knock was I can't have it now. And that was, now nobody even thinks about that. But I can't have it right now. I can't get that book right now. And that began to change when I would go down to Powell's, the largest used bookstore. The second biggest bookstore in the world was Powell's. Probably still is. Well, no, they're the biggest independent bookstore. But Powell's, which was heaven for me, I've spent several thousand hours in Powell's books, reading books and drinking coffee, was when I would go down there and it wasn't there. The book that I wanted wasn't there. And then I had to order it on Amazon. And that's how they got me used to ordering it. Because now, well, Powell's probably has it, but Amazon definitely has it. And then the second thing that Jeff Bezos would say, one is ease of use. They've just made it incredibly easy to buy something. The second thing is the price was lower. So I could buy it and the price would actually be lower. And those two things set them up to succeed. And I get into this a lot when I'm doing strategic consulting with businesses of why do I have to click this and then this to buy this? Because you're going to get beat by somebody who doesn't make people click twice. Mm-hmm. And they're like, really? Do you really think? Yes. Like somebody would actually go to somebody else because they have to move their finger twice? Yes. Mm-hmm. Because psychologically, they have made it easier. And you have now, Jeff Bezos has made it so that you have to make it so ridiculously easy. Now with Prime, you don't even have to think about shipping. And it actually comes to my door. What's interesting is Amazon.com has not only replaced the local grocery store and bookstore and hardware store, they've replaced something even more powerful to replace, your to-do list. In other words, instead of like writing down, I need light bulbs, I just buy them. Yeah. And it's easier to buy the light bulbs on Amazon than it is to write it on a piece of paper. So I'm guilty of like Betsy, my beautiful, wonderful wife, batches her orders so that they come once a week, so they all come in less boxes. I need to do that, but I haven't. I know, what a wonderful person.
What a dream. You don't have to break down as many boxes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I have not done that yet because I think you have to press 3 buttons to do it. So I haven't saved the world yet because of the 3 buttons. And my finger's a little bit sore.
Things to do.
Yeah, things to do. But I literally will buy light bulbs and then later realize we need cat food, and we'll buy cat food separately.
Yeah, I do that.
And I don't even think about it. So I think those are the two big reasons. The price was better, and he just made it easier to get it.
Yeah, and it in that it reminds me of what I was looking at in some of the research for this episode. Was it really started asking questions of like, okay, how do you have such foresight to see down the road what people will want? And one of the things I admire about Amazon and Bezos is they were constantly experimenting with things too. Do you remember?
That's right. It's part of their business philosophy.
Do you remember back in the day, there used to be a thing where you could get for free a button that you could put on your washing machine to order your favorite.
I remember.
Do you remember
that?
And you could push it and it would order for you.
I remember that.
Lasted like what? A year, let's call it. Yeah, whatever. It didn't go very well. But he was even experimenting with making it easier. And you know what? That would have worked if it weren't for the smartphone. Yeah, well, but I think
now you're carrying the button.
What I think they were doing was they were just testing, to your point, with a one click. So now, it's to the point now, I don't know if you have this where it's like reoccurring subscriptions or like, hey, it seems like you're out of dish soap. Would you like for us to order you more? Like to your point about the to-do list, they're getting it to such a place where they're thinking for you. And so I think that's one of the things that I'm very fascinated about Amazon is they're so ahead of what you even think you need. Yeah. And he says that. He says their core principles, customer focused. Yeah. And that a lot of customers don't even know the problems they have, and it's our job to figure that out for them.
I used StoryBrand.ai to prepare for this episode. One of the things that it gave me was continuous experimentation. It said Amazon encourages a culture of experimentation where teams can test ideas rapidly and learn from failures, promoting innovation and agility. That is a business principle that we can all, everybody listening to this who runs a business, they're constantly experimenting and promoting things that work and killing things that don't.
Yeah, and that's fascinating too, because I remember, when streaming first started, Spotify wasn't even in the US yet, and Amazon had one of the first big streaming platforms called RDO.
Ooh,
you ever heard of RDO?
No.
RDIO. I loved it. It was incredible. And they shut it down. And I think it's because he saw Spotify's coming in. We're not doing this as well. This is this isn't making the money. We're losing money doing this. We're going to shut this down. And I was like, I got to move over to Spotify. It's so
I bet
annoying.
he is, I've heard him say that the two things that have worked, he's only had 2 grand slams, Amazon Prime and Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services is $80 billion of the $514 billion.
Controls so much of the internet. It's unreal.
Or I don't know if it controls it. It houses it.
But I mean, if they're down or they want to shut you down.
That's true.
That was the big controversy a couple of years ago, was they shut down certain websites that were being protested because they were on AWS.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah. Some of these,
they didn't want that pushback.
They did not want, there was a couple of social media platforms were housed by AWS. And so when they were kind of in the news, they shut them down. They took them out of the web store.
Okay, here's several reasons that they have made it easier. One is selection. And look, I can run down to Ace Hardware and I can get this specific kind of screw that I need. The chances of them having it, at least psychologically in my mind, are about 40%. Mm-hmm. The chance, I'm looking at it on Amazon, right? It's going to be here tomorrow, or I'm going to go get it if I need it right now. And just the selection is there. I mean, if you said, man, there's this bread maker that is so amazing that blah, 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 I don't even know where to go find that bread maker, right? I don't know if it's at Target. I don't know if I got to go over to, some specialty kitchen store over in Belmead. If I go over there, chances are they're going to have to order it. But I'm looking at a picture. I'm like, is this it? There is a organic freeze-dried coffee that a guy in my mastermind said he loves the taste of it, and it doesn't give him headaches, and it doesn't make him jittery. Mm-hmm. There's no anxiety with this caffeine. And he sent me an Amazon link. I bought it.
Push one button.
Yes. So for $7, I buy a latte, an oat milk latte from Stay Golden, or I pour 3 of these things with some oat milk and some ice into this thing, and it tastes just as good. And I now use it. And I have since sent that link to at least 5 other people. And you can't get that. You can't get that anywhere. You can't get that organic coffee at Whole Foods that I know of. By the way, I don't know the name of it. Everybody's like, what is it, Miller? I'm like, I actually don't know.
He'll text you later.
I'll text you later. Follow me on Instagram, Donald Miller, and go back through, and I'm going to put a picture of it on Instagram, and you can see it. It's actually really, really terrific, and it tastes so good. You can take it backpacking, which I don't do any backpacking, but I like saying that.
Yeah, you kind of outed yourself there. Exactly. I would have went with
if I'm on an oil rig, I can drink it there.
Yeah, on those solo hikes you do.
Okay, so the spreadability. Now let's get back to they've killed small business. That business no longer has to have any representation, any brick and mortar. Mm-hmm. They don't have to have a contract with Walmart, who, by the way, is going to crush them on their margins. They can just sell it on Amazon. Yep. And so they've also helped a lot of small businesses too. One-click ordering. Can we just talk about this for a second? The fact that you don't want to click 3 times.
I agree.
Buy now.
What I'm thinking about in my head is I'm thinking back to that Jeff Bezos. I think a lot of people have seen that interview of him where he's in that office, in that like dingy office with a crappy computer and like a piece of paper, and it says Amazon, right? Right. And I'm thinking about that Jeff Bezos, and I'm thinking, does he realize that the most important asset to almost everyone is time? And does he have to?
Does he know that then? You're kind of wondering, does he know that then?
Because man, it feels like everything that they've rolled out is about saving humans time. And we don't even realize it. Which is fascinating because
they added 24 hours to the amount of time that you could get your product.
What do you mean?
I mean, I can go down to the grocery store and get dish liquid, or I can click on this.
But it's funny because it's the convenience, though. There's
done.
It's
and
done.
It's going to come to my door.
That's the key word. It's done. And so
same day delivery, by the way, was a big catapult of their growth. They actually shortened. This was miraculous to me. I don't know how they do this. I can order, wall hanging nails and have them here by the end of the day. Where are those where's that box of nails at that they're putting in this package and sending it to me?
It's brilliant because I think what I admire about Amazon and Bezos' leadership is he goes, okay, here's our true North Stars. Let's say it's safe.
Make it easy. Make it easy.
Okay, so then based off of that, what do we do to do that? Well, we need to think about distribution. So where can we set up distribution centers around the country? And how do we make it efficient? And oh, by the way,
and then how do we get labor to actually deliver these things?
And what are the things that most people order? Well, we probably need to have it stocked there so we can get it within the day. It's kind of mind-boggling to think all the dominoes that fall into place and the leadership and his team, how they think through that.
If you don't communicate clearly, all your emails, your website, social media posts, everything you're communicating will be ignored. StoryBrand.ai is like the world's best communication expert writing it for you. Imagine having the world's best communicator writing your tagline. Just type in the name of your company, answer a few prompts, and voila. Hey, that's a good one. Use it to write your social media posts, website wireframe, emails, lead generating PDF, product or service descriptions, anything you need for your business. What would happen to your revenue if every word that left your business was crystal clear and worth paying attention to? StoryBrand.ai is your competitive advantage, so you'll say it clearly. Try it right now and let us write your custom tagline for free at StoryBrand.ai. And now back to the show.
All right. Selection, one-click ordering, same-day delivery, and then subscription services. Do you subscribe to anything?
Like, what do you mean? Like
I went to buy 8 more boxes of that coffee that I just told you about.
Yeah.
And it was an option to subscribe, and I thought
it's cheaper.
Yeah, I think this one actually wasn't cheaper,
okay.
But at least I wouldn't have to. Like I'm out right now. I'm out of my coffee right now, and I wouldn't run out about a subscription. Yep. I don't do subscriptions only because my wife told me to use this almond oil on my face. And I do. I use almond oil on my face. I'm 54. I look 53. Easily 53. But I stopped using it because I forgot, and now I've got like 6 bottles of almond oil. So now I'm afraid of the subscription button. But apparently, it is a massive reason that they have succeeded. So another business principle you guys own businesses can use.
I think another one I'd add to the conversation is they're long-term oriented.
Yeah, that's part of their leadership philosophy.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me that the very thing they're trying to do is save time. They are totally willing to play the long game.
Yeah.
They're totally, like, when Amazon Prime first came out, I think it was like $79 for the year. And you're just like, how are they making money? But they go, once we change, what is it now? Like 129, 130, 140? I don't even know.
You get free shipping and you watch all these movies for free. It's crazy.
But early on, it was this price.
I don't know how they're making money on that.
They knew overarching that, like, something we affect today is gonna bear fruit 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And the vision to that's why they work.
I was going to go through their management ideas.
Yeah.
And that's part of that. Let me go back to how they made shopping easier.
Okay.
Because these are all things that we can learn from as leaders and as owners of businesses. Selection, one-click ordering, same-day delivery, subscription service, personalized recommendations.
Huge.
I always buy the thing that says Amazon recommends. Our overall pick, I think is what it says, right? Remember that black and orange little thing that says overall pick?
Or even like, hey, customers often buy this with that, right? So
yes.
if you're buying a tool for your case, they often buy this.
I didn't realize I'm going to need this bit
yes.
that this thing fits into.
Masterful upsell.
Easy returns? I wouldn't know. I don't return anything on Amazon.
But it is easy.
Is it?
Super. Oh, they've got it down to such a point now.
Go down to Whole Foods and drop it off,
You
right?
can, or you can walk into UPS and just hand them the item. You don't even have to have a box.
Serious?
I'm dead serious. Most of the time, you don't have to have a box. You just hand them the item with the slip. They scan it and they go, okay, you're good to go. That's how easy it is. The returns is insane.
All right, customer reviews and ratings.
Massive.
When you're sitting there, in the old days, you go to the hardware store and you're holding this thing. You're like, is this going to work for whatever? Do you just? I usually go and I try to find some 5-star reviews, and I go, okay, this person sounds legit. And I only need to read 1 or 2, and then I pick it up. Mobile app convenience.
Yeah, I use predominantly my phone over desktop.
Wish list, and by the way, I'm reading the 10 or 11
from the
things that they say are the customer-oriented ideas that they came up with that work the best.
And it's what Story Brand brain that you got from them. Okay.
Yeah. Wish list and save for later features. I don't use any of that. Do you use any of that?
Yeah, a little bit. I just don't want to forget.
Product search functionality, I would say number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed at like my buddy has his belt buckle and and it's got like some funny thing on it. Yeah. And I'm just making stuff up.
3 words.
But I'm like typing, SpongeBob belt buckle.
Yeah. And there it is.
By the way, my weirdest searches are all around Halloween. I'm like, I need antler hat.
And Amazon's perfect because it's probably the day before or that morning. And you're like, and can I have it today?
That's right. Product search functionality. I mean, those are all things that we can learn from. And I say a lot of time to my consulting customers, just like, why are you making it hard for people to give you money?
Yeah, that's such.
Now you went a direction of leadership principles.
Yes.
And StoryBrand.ai gave me some info on this. Data-driven decision making. This is critical.
They're probably ruthless about it too.
They're probably ruthless about it. In fact, I'm about to invest in Angel Studios.
Oh, okay.
Angel Studios has nothing to do with Amazon, but Angel Studios, they make like The Chosen. Mm-hmm. They've made some really good movies. And what I love about their movies is they're making sort of Christian movies that don't feel like church propaganda. Most Christian movies are not Christian movies. They're church movies. And there's some similarities between church and Christianity, but not many. Let's just be honest. They're movies designed to build the church and to get butts and seats. That's not what Angel Studios is doing. They're actually they're Mormon brothers out of Utah who are, and so I went and spent a day with them, Harmon brothers, and I get in there and I'm thinking like these people are making some really creative, really great media, fantastic. They actually have a line of comedians that they're supporting, and comedy specials.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I've been to that new movie. There's a bunch of movies. I watched one of their documentaries in the theater about near-death experiences.
Okay.
One of the best documentaries I've ever seen, and one of the most faith-uplifting documentaries I've ever seen. That if it was a church Christian thing, they wouldn't have put half of this stuff in there. Because, people are going to hell and coming back, and some people who aren't Christians are meeting Jesus in the afterlife. There's no possible way a church documentary is going to do this. But Angel's like, and I'm like, well, how are they making decisions? So I go and spend a day with them, and I'm expecting to see meet a bunch of creative people. It's not that they're not creative. They are creative, but they are ruthless about data. They are making decisions based on data. This is what the people want. The people have told us what they want. It meets our requirements in terms of it doesn't have, profanity or whatever. It's family friendly. And so we're going to do it. I personally like this one more, and it doesn't matter. I personally think this one would be better for culture, but the people don't want it. The data says do this. And one of the reasons that Betsy and I are investing in Angel Studios is that is the reason. You aren't going with your gut. You aren't using intuition. You don't have an agenda here. You've got some core values, and if the media meets their core values and the people want it, we are going to produce it. And that, to me, is a surefire way of succeeding. You're listening to your customers. And so if the data says it works, and do not confuse this with your opinions.
and that is apparent even to the story I said about cutting products that they've made. They are ruthless about the things that do and don't work.
Yeah.
And they're totally willing to say, yep, that didn't work. Move on to the next thing.
Think about how fast they have become what they have become. To me, that's the real
20 years
baffling miracle. In 20 years, you're driving down the freeway. If you go from here to Atlanta, which is a 4.5-hour drive, you're going to pass the 5 biggest buildings that you'll pass will be Amazon.com warehouses or something like that. They're putting 5,000 people here in Nashville. There's, however many people they took over downtown Seattle. Just the building of the buildings should have taken more than 20 years, much less build the business that built the buildings. Yep. And one of the reasons they do that, or one of the ways they do that, is what Jeff Bezos calls 2 pizza teams. Did you hear about this?
No. Oh, yeah, I think I have. But yeah.
So he introduced the concept of 2 pizza teams, small agile groups that can innovate and execute quickly, minimizing bureaucracy and fostering accountability. Minimizing bureaucracy.
And the reason he calls it that is because they can share. It's a small enough team that two pizzas
will feed them at a meeting.
Yeah.
That reminds me of how W.L. Gordon Associates, remember in The Tipping Point, they talk about how W.L. Gordon Associates only has 150 parking spaces per building. And then if somebody parks on the grass, they build a new building.
Yeah.
It was kind of how the anecdote worked. There's something about small agile teams. It's interesting because as we build our company, the number one thing that was frustrating to me as we grew from like 7 employees to 37 employees was speed. Speed it's slow. Everything we were able to do bigger things, but so much slower. And the fact that you could have tens of thousands of employees, probably hundreds of thousands if we're talking about Amazon, the fact that you could have that many employees and still move fast is amazing.
It is impressive. Yeah, it's fascinating too to like the pizza box theory or the 150 parking space. Like that's what fascinates me more is like, how do you come up with that? Like, how do you come up with that theory? How do you come up with that mindset?
Well, it's Steve Jobs said the same thing. He said, we operate like a very large startup and that we move very, very quickly. We try things very quickly. I feel like we do that here. Mm-hmm. We try a lot of things.
Yeah, we break a lot of things. I mean, we try, we break, we test, we redo it. Yeah, there's
you
definitely...
have to have the ability to forget.
Yeah.
People say, remember you did this?
That's hard.
I have zero memory of that.
That's hard.
It didn't work.
It's the, kill your darling kind of mindset.
Kill your darling.
It's hard. It's hard though, because it's hard because you've worked on things and it's, especially when you put yourself into it and then you go, I don't know if this is working or not, and have to step back. And it is fascinating that Amazon is ruthless about that.
They are.
Based off data, based off customer consumption.
The number one thing that, and I know you talked about this before we started recording, customer obsession. And this is, to me, the big one where I feel like, at 50, however old I am, 53 or 54, I don't know. I think I'm about to turn 53.
Your age cream.
Yeah, I look like a 53-year-old regardless.
Yeah. So let's go with that.
Almond oil, by the way. Yeah, and I don't know which one. Just get it with your organic coffee that I don't know which one either. Order it on Amazon.
You'll figure it out.
But the customer obsession.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like we had to hit a certain point in revenue where it actually no longer mattered to me how much money we were making. It matters to me now whether our customers are satisfied with what we're doing and whether or not we're solving their problems quickly. Because when we first started the company, listen, we were about to run out of cash. So it's like having a toothache and trying to care about somebody and be a good listener. Like, we're about to run out of cash, so I can't really think about my customer right now. I got to get this product out and got to put a sales sign on it. Got to get it out. And now that we're successful, it's like, oh, well, we have plenty of time. We have 6 months before we run out of cash. What do you think the customer is frustrated with, and how can we actually? And I almost feel like that's the beginning of explosive growth.
I found a clip that I thought he articulated it really well, and I hadn't heard it shared this way, but I wanted to play it for our audience and for you because I thought he did a really good job of laying out their principles. Let me play it.
The things that most people know about, which is our consumer offering, where we deliver things in little brown boxes, and these things seem so disparate. How is it that we're doing all of them? And the common thread, and really what it is it's an approach. We have a very distinctive approach that we have been honing and refining and thinking about for 22 years. And it's really just a few principles that we use as we go about these activities. At the very top of the list is one I've already mentioned, but you'll probably hear it 10 times throughout tonight because it's so central. And it is customer obsession. It's customer obsession instead of, for example, competitor obsession, or business model obsession, or product obsession, or technology obsession. There are many ways to center a business. And by the way, many of them can work. I know and have friends who lead very competitor-obsessed companies. And those companies can be successful. That's not a bad strategy. You have to be really good at close following. You identify winners when you watch your competitors very carefully. If they latch onto something that's working, you duplicate it as quickly as possible. It's a very good strategy in some ways because you don't have to go down blind alleys. If you're not pioneering, if you're only close following, it has some advantages. But it has some disadvantages too. And I like the customer obsession model. I think it's the right one. I think it's better than product obsession even. I think product obsession is not bad, but I think customer obsession gets you there in a healthier way. So that's one of the principles, one of the approaches that we take in every single thing that we do.
To me, Kyle, that clip gave me permission to just sort of become customer obsessed. And this is the first time with StoryBrand.ai, it's the first time we've released something that we're leaving a team behind. And by behind, I mean they're just going to sit and make this better and better for the next 2 years. They're just never going to stop. Every little problem with it is going to be perfected. Any sort of criticism. We even have where you vote on new assets.
Yeah. And
the customers are now able to vote on we're going to release one asset a month. So they're able to vote on which new asset you want our team to actually create.
Yeah. And what's interesting is even in some of the internal conversations that I get to be a part of is that you can hear the team as they start to dialogue. So one of the ideas we came up with the other day was what if we get on the phone with people who are either using our product or have stopped using our product and ask them.
Yeah.
So that's customer obsession, but that idea doesn't come if we're not obsessed with the customer and their experience with it. And I think,
or if you don't believe that's the key to growth,
yeah,
that's the key
you know,
to
we
winning.
could get into competition obsession and try to make the greatest AI platform anyone's ever done. And we probably couldn't because we don't have the resources but we can serve a customer base.
Yeah, we can serve our target market better than they can.
Yes.
All right, I just want to summarize 5 kind of critical elements of success when we're asking the question, why did that work, as it relates to Amazon.com. And this is all stuff that at least our business owners can use. Customer obsession, I would actually put number one. But I would include sort of the ease of ordering and shipping and all that inside of customer obsession.
Yep.
You mentioned long-term thinking. Bezos emphasizes the importance of thinking long-term, making investments that may not pay off immediately.
But they also, inside of that, move fast, which might segue to another one. It's long-term thinking, but with speed in mind.
Yep. Innovation and experimentation. Bezos advocates for a culture of innovation where experimentation is encouraged and failure is seen as a stepping stone. That's huge. All this, by the way, you have to have cash reserves.
Yeah.
You have to have cash reserves to do this. Operational excellence, we didn't touch on. He focuses on efficiency and execution, believing that streamlined operations lead to better customer service and profitability. Operational excellence is massive. And then this was interesting, the 5th and final one for me, talent development. Bezos, he's got to have a team of like the smart. You ever watched an interview or a documentary, and then there'll be some, high-level executive on Amazon that you've never heard of, and then you listen to them talk, and 30 seconds in, you realize this person is on another level, absolutely on another level. Like he's found the most talented people in the world, and continues to develop the talent that comes in. So, you grateful for Amazon, or you wish you'd go back to the world where you got to get in your car?
Man, the moral mindset says I want.
What am I willing to say publicly?
Yeah, no, I am grateful. I mean, just the ease of use, the kid show. At night I want to watch a movie with my kids.
Yeah,
pull up Amazon Prime.
Daniel Tiger.
The just everything about it. It does it hits everything, and the opportunity to find stuff that I never. I mean, just even though you think about like, what do your significant other says, what do you want for Christmas? Like, I don't know. Let me go look on Amazon and see what other people want to use or like, what do they like?
And listen, there's a downside. I don't think Kyle and I are saying this is great. It's the greatest thing ever. There's a downside. Brick and mortar shops, bookstores are gone. But I think there's also an upside in the sense that literally millions of businesses exist. Partly, some of them because they're selling on Amazon. Products exist because they're able to sell on Amazon. They got to skip the whole building the distribution channel because they literally just signed up and they were able to do it. But I would also say there are so many mom and pop businesses that I order from. I order my protein powder from, and they're not paid by me, from Ballerina Farms. Ballerina Farms, the shtick is a ballerina married a farmer. And now they have this business. Their protein powder it's whey protein from dairy cows. And first of all, I shouldn't even say this because I can't get the chocolate. I'm on the list that they email and they say, we've got some chocolate. And I go on and it's out. It's out. I can still get the vanilla. That protein powder tastes like a milkshake. It tastes exactly like a 1940s milkshake. It has colostrum in it. It has cow boob colostrum. I'm like a baby cow.
Pretty sure I know what that means. Yeah, okay.
Of Ballerina Farms protein, and I'm here for it. It is the best tasting protein powder on the market. They do not sell on Amazon. They do not have a brick and mortar. And I buy from them because I have been accustomed, I've now gotten used to buying things online.
I see what you're saying.
And I wouldn't have done it without Amazon because we're all like, oh yeah, you can buy things online now. It's safe. It just comes to your door. Please edit out any reference of Ballerina Farms and beep it because I want it all to myself. I do not want people to know about this. Actually, if Ballerina Farms is listening, I just promoted you. Could you sit? I will pay for it. Just put me on the VIP chocolate subscription.
That's fair.
Because right now I'm eating vanilla.
Yeah, that's a fair ask because I thought you were going to say send it to me for free. You're willing to pay.
I'm willing to. I'll pay full price. I just want access to it. All right, another episode wrapped up. We now fully understand why Amazon.com exists. Hopefully this is one of those episodes where people could actually learn a little bit if you're running a business. Why do you think Amazon exists? Is there some glaring obvious thing that you would have brought up if you were with us today? If so, leave a comment. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Why That Worked podcast presented by StoryBrand.ai. If you like the show, follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're enjoying this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment letting us know what you think and what you want the guys to talk about in a future episode. Curious about how StoryBrand.ai can help you create clear, effective messaging? Well, you can try it out right now and create a free customized tagline for your business. Just go to StoryBrand.ai. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.